have always been a fundraiser. I didn't know anything else. I'll tell you, when OLCS was going on, one of the things that happened, they started a program called the Buddy Program. And I went through the training. I made one house call. I came back to the board of directors and I said, I'll raise all the money that you ever need, but I cannot do that. I can't do it. My heart was just broken. Tell you another story about OLCS. Mike Grossman approached me after a 10-year anniversary of the Women's Motorcycle Club and asked me to be on the board of OLCS. And I agreed, and that was when Howie was very, very ill. And I'll never forget a woman by the name of Lou Samuels Norman. She was on our board, straight woman, had a beautiful facility in the Dallas Design Center. We didn't know if AIDS was airborne. We didn't know. We had no idea. Nobody knew. And we had opened, our offices, by the way, were on Nash, where I ended up buying that building many years later. But we opened a house for the indigent there. And we had a couple of problems with people not wanting to maybe work there. Lou said to me, we need to go over there. And I said, well, that's a good idea. She said, let's toss a coin. See who goes first. By God, we did. And neither one of us ever regretted it. Every one of those people initially, like you all, went to incredible lengths to take care of our own. That's what makes us really special. Another title, Yama Hama Mama. And I deserve that one. Let me see. Prez. Girlfriend Magazine, about, I think it was 15 years ago, did an article on the 10 most powerful lesbians in the United States. I was 10. I know. I was sleeping with the editor. I'm just kidding. Of course, now, I do want to say this since we are on camera. Anything that I have said on stage at a show is not necessarily true. Because I've done many years of shows and I've said many things. Let me see. I wanted to talk about one of the very first residential fundraisers that I ever went to, which was at Mike Grossman's home. Mike and I go way back. Mike, I think the first time that I really got to know Mike was after that show in OLCS. And Mike had a fundraiser, and it made the paper, which was a real big deal. Mike and I also, as far as I know, gave the very first check to Eddie Bernice Johnson from money that we had raised. And that was, I don't remember if it was OLCS or HRC. HRC, anyway. And Mike brought me on the board of the National HRC, which I served for many years, and loved it. That organization has done so much for us. And I don't think we'd be where we are today without HRC. see, what else did I want to tell you? Okay, I wanted to tell you why you are Dallas Way, why we are Dallas Way. I was talking to a friend of mine in London, and I was telling her, that I was going to speak tonight, and she said, well, what's that about? And I said, it's about the Dallas history. And she said, yeah, but what's Dallas Way? And I said, it's the way we do things. It's the damn way we've always done things. I've got to share this. I was at the board meeting when they decided on the name. And I was driving home, and I thought, that is really cool. There were probably 12 of us there. And Vivian came up with some variation of that name. And everybody, said, oh, yeah, Dallas Way. That's great. That sounds fabulous. Well, driving home, it dawned on me that not one single person sitting at that table didn't know what the Dallas Way was. It was never questioned at all. We all knew, yes, it was the Dallas Way. And let me tell you why it's the Dallas Way. Any time that I ever wanted to accomplish anything, and of course I grew up with Howie, Calvin, all the biggies, Bill Nelson, of course John Thomas, always John Thomas, my baby. But Dallas, in traveling around the nation and just being in so many different cities representing you, LA, San Francisco, Seattle, New York, all over Texas, everywhere. The thing that I saw the most of was that the men and women didn't get along much. Not us. Not us. I have a lot of stories that I am going to either write, put on paper, whatever, but I have a lot more photographs. And I have tons and tons of brochures, invites, unfortunately lots of funeral programs. And I'm going to tell a lot of those stories, but I want to just say a couple of things about how we got here and the love that we've had for each other, men and women. Steve, I will put about the lesbian uprising on tape. Atkinson, by the way. Now, when there's a lesbian uprising, and we had one, oh, we did, yeah. Who do they call? Steve Atkinson. I can tell a story about every single person sitting here. Many years ago, when the police would not protect our parades, Alan called me. I think it was Alan and Kathy called and said, would your dykes on bikes please provide security for the Gay Pride Parade? Oh, honey, I loved it. Loved it. We had such a good time. And speaking of the Women's Motorcycle Club, what an organization. I was on the board of directors of a treatment facility, all black treatment facility, run by Helen Spicer over on Martin Luther King Boulevard. And Helen called and said, oh, my God, they're coming to do an inspection next week. I said, what's the matter? And she said, oh, this place is a mess. So I got on the phone. We rented a bus, and in 2 days, we painted almost 10,000 square feet of rooms. That's what our city has been about. And I'll never be able to think of all the names, but here's the way it's really gone. When I was on the board of directors of the Oak Lawn Counseling Center, we had an alcohol problem. Not that we haven't always, but our youth, we had no place to go except the bars. And I told the board that we needed some kind of a facility. And Fridge, thank you for doing that. But I told the board that, and within 10 days, we had the Oasis program. We were having a big problem with leadership, not that we didn't have great leadership, that there were so many organizations popping up that it was hard to train people in, I taught parliamentary procedure, by the way, too. But boy, that didn't go well. You tell a queen that he needs to second a motion. No. And you'd really try telling him that you need to table it. So, okay. But I was on the phone with Carl Parker, and I said, my God, we need training. We need some kind of training. Guess what? 2 weeks later, we had Leadership Lambda. I didn't like the fact that the women weren't getting the kind of credit I felt like they should. And I called my friend Molly Bohannon, and I said, Molly, we need a women's award ceremony. And we ended up with the Extra Mile Awards. We always needed, and we always will need money. I went to our director of women's programs with OLCS, and I said, what can we do in the women's community? What do women, what do they do beside lick envelopes all weekend? And Deanne and I, no. Deanne and I started the first women's golf tournament, which is going on today. She helped organize that, along with Kathy Hewitt, I might add. I went to Kathy to ask her. I didn't know anything about golf. I still don't. The Women's Motorcycle Club, I went to Margaret Honeycutt. We'd all been riding for several years, and we worked off a phone tree. And I said, with all of the experience that I have with PPOs and nonprofits and 501c3s, let's form a motorcycle club. And by God, we did. Then some of the fun things that maybe they were fun. We had a president of PFLAG that decided... At one point, gay and lesbians were accused of recruiting. I never laid a hand on that woman. But I want to tell you something. Louise was so upset. You don't upset Louise. And Louise actually went over and talked to Pat. Well, I shut my blinds and turned off my phone. I was like, I don't want anything to do with that. Louise and I have run into each other several times. I was working the bars while she was working the politics many, many years ago. And God bless her. She has done, let's give her a big round of applause. She and Vivian both, Louise and Vivian, absolutely. There's so many people here. I want to tell you a story about the black tie. Y'all, I have had notes. I can't tell you how many stories. But I want to tell you about the black tie dinner real quick. When I joined that board of directors, something that I heard over and over and over and over again was every dime that we spend on this dinner is not going back into the community. Black tie dinner has always had your best interest at heart. I want you to know that. I don't know what else to tell you other than I have loved every single minute, and I have not missed one damn minute of my life because of you. And there are a couple of things that I wanted to say to close. Look at these notes, guys. I've got rooms full. Okay. One, I want to tell you that we, as Dallas, have never been, and I hope we never will be, a separatist type of city. We've always done things together, hand in hand, and by God, we've accomplished things that New York and San Francisco just couldn't possibly do. People in this room stand for something. And that's where we're going, where we've been, and how we've done it. We did it together, and we're going to continue to do it together. Just remember, as my uncle used to say, dance with the one that brung you, honey.